Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge and welcome to another recommendation video. And today we are doing Amnesia recommendations. So most of these I have are historical. This is a trope I find the most in historical, but I do have a contemporary and 2 fantasy recs, and then I think the rest are historical that I have to share. But I would love to hear from you if you have some more of these, okay? I would love to hear it because I do like a good Amnesia plot. There are some contemporary ones I do know about that I am choosing not to read because they don't, like, there is some specific things that I like in the Amnesia, you know. But anyway, let's go ahead. Let's start with the one that is a contemporary, and then we'll do fantasy, and then we'll do all the historicals, okay? So the first one is Into the Storm by Melanie Moreland. This is actually a standalone Melanie Moreland. This is about a recluse writer who lives on his own with him and his dog, and he's very wealthy, so he's been able to, he's an agoraphobic. After a traumatic event he'd been through, he moved to this place. He's able to do all his writing and editing and make his money while continuing that situation. And then our heroine is actually on the run, and like we know she's escaping abuse, like we as the readers know, because we get a prologue with her on the run, and then we get most of this book through our hero's point of view. There's only a few times where we get the heroine's point of view, but through the hero's point of view, there's this big storm coming in the area. So he's out kind of preparing, you know, he doesn't travel far from his home at all, but he will, you know, use his little tractor to like plow and stuff. And he notices there's something at the end of his road. There is a car in the ditch, and it's this woman that he brings inside, and she is freezing. She's like soaking wet. And so he brings her inside. He actually undresses her, and he notices bruises over her entire body. Like, it's clear she probably has broken ribs. She has just like black eyes. Her, like, she is completely there's literally like footprints on her arms where someone like stomped her, and he's just kind of like, well, this isn't a good situation. And then this woman wakes up and she has no idea who she is. In fact, she doesn't even know that he's not the one who beat her. And so like the way he proves it is he's like, here, look. And he like takes his hand and he shows that his hand is a lot bigger than these marks, and that his foot is bigger. Like, it's a horrible way to have to prove it, but that's how he proves that he's not the one who did it, but she has no idea who she is. And he's like, well, you're going to be stuck here with me until at least the weather's clear, and then we'll see about finding who you are. The only thing is, if she's running from someone, could the person who's looking for her be the one who did this to her? So we'll see. So there's that one. Then there is actually a fantasy duet that has a character with amnesia in it. And that's going to be A King So Cold by Ella Fields. This is book 1. The second one is called The Never Print. Like, I can't remember what the sequel is called. But this one starts with our heroine, who she finds out that the man that she like used to love is getting married, and she shows up on her, like, I think she has a dragon, and she shows up, captures him, and is like, how dare you try to have a happily ever after, and she throws him in her dungeon. And then when she goes to visit him, he's like, I don't know why you hate me. And she's like, you don't remember what you did? Let me explain it to you. And so this book has a lot of her like recounting to him what he did to her, and why this epic love they supposedly had has turned into ash, has turned into her wanting to keep him from happiness so much that even though he'd forgotten about her and is living in like the human realm, that she refuses to let him have a happily ever after. And so our heroine, I think she's queen of the, queen of like a winter court, or can't remember. But here's like the tagline: there lived a princess so cruel that even her husband tried to destroy her. So yeah, I think he was her husband even, and everything. But this is fae and fairy. This is very dark, sexy. Things are not what they seem at all. But yes, the man that she captures, he does not remember being her husband or what he's done to make her so furious with him. So very interesting. These books are beautiful also. And then I'm going to recommend a fanfic to you that I was like, of course, this one has a big chunk of amnesia in it, and that's Manicult by SenLinYu. Yes, this is my beautiful copy made by my wonderful friend. And the first third of this book, because this book is actually split into 3 parts. It's split into current time, flashbacks, and then like current times again. And yeah, this is a Dramini fanfic, like the Dramini fanfic that everyone loves, that I want everyone to read. And in the beginning of this, Hermione has been trapped in the bottom of Hogwarts, which has been made into a prison. Voldemort is the Dark Lord of all now. Dumbledore's dead, Harry Potter's dead, and Hermione has been down in here. And during these months that she's been trapped in prison, she has forgotten everything that happened before. We don't know how that happened or how she forgot it, but she doesn't. And when she gets brought up, she is getting given to a family, and that family ends up being Draco and his wife, because things have turned into The Handmaid's Tale. Okay, they've turned into The Handmaid's Tale. And there are memories that she has, you know, forced herself to forget that Voldemort wants, because he wants to make sure that the order is completely squashed. And so not only is Draco supposed to get her pregnant because they want magical babies, there is also a connection that can be made between Draco as like the father of whatever child would be in there that will allow him like access to her memories, supposedly. And so Hermione gets given into this hellish arrangement where every month she gets raped by Draco. But things are not what they seem, and there are a lot of things that she's forgotten, and when she remembers them, it's gonna break you. It's gonna break you, I promise it will. This book is amazing. Yeah, it's so epic, I don't even know what to tell you. It's amazing. So, anywhoozle, I love this so much. Okay, let's go through the historicals then. So I have few books by, I have multiple books by a couple authors here, so this will be fun. So we have Elisa Kleypas that's called Someone to Watch Over Me. I think this is is this one the first book in this trilogy, or is it the second one? I think it's the first one. But anyway, this one is about Vivian Duval, and she is a famous like courtesan. And our hero is Grant Morgan, who works for Bow Street. And he ends up finding her like down by the river, and he knows who Vivian is. He in fact has wanted to sleep with Vivian before, and she turned him down kind of rudely. And she doesn't know who she is. So when he, you know, when they find her and when they're trying to find out who did this to her, he kind of lies to her and tells her that she was his mistress and she should come stay with him for now. So he's a bit deceitful in that regards, but you know, this is still a really good book. So we want to find out who did this to her and what happened. And this has a lot of tropes that I really love, but I don't want to like say them because it's kind of a spoiler if I say them. But yeah, this was a really fun one. Another one by Lisa Kleypas that I don't love as much, sorry, I'll pick this up, is Once More My Darling Rogue. I don't really like this one because the way the hero acts when the heroine doesn't remember who she is, because she was someone who was pretty bitchy in the ton and spoiled, and she has reasons for it. Trigger warning for molestation in this one, so I mean maybe that gives you some reasons. But she falls in a river as well and gets found by our hero, who pretends that she was a servant girl. And so this girl who's never done that in her life, but thinks it's just because she forgot how to do it, is working in this man's house. Meanwhile, people are looking for her. So I wasn't super impressed, but some people really like this. And also it is like kind of inspired by like Overboard, which I never have seen, but that's like a movie that a lot of people love. So I'm letting you know about this one. Then there's one more Lisa Kleypas, and this is my favorite Lisa Kleypas. It really is. It's my favorite one, and it's Devil in Disguise. So this one only has amnesia for a certain part of the book, but we get to see Lady Merritt, who is running her dearly departed husband's shipping business, and our hero, Keir McRae, arrives in London to sell his whiskey, and her and him have this crazy flirtation. They actually have this beautiful like one night stand together, and then he ends up getting in an accident and forgetting the last like 72 hours or something, and he doesn't remember her, and that's heartbreaking. But then they go to stay at a friend's estate for a while, and by friend I mean Lord St. Vincent's place, and he is slowly starting to remember things. So there's only a portion of this book that has amnesia in it, but I loved it, and I love Kerr. He is like my favorite Kleypas hero. This is my favorite. It pretty much like this, and again the magic are like neck and neck for me depending on the day, but usually this is my favorite book. Like I don't usually mark up historicals, but I did for this one. Okay, then we have a Julia Quinn to share, and that is the girl with the make-believe husband. So this is part of the Bridgerton prequels. They're also called the what's the other name of this series? Oh, I forgot, but it has a different name too. But anyway, this one is about Celia Harcourt and Edward Rokes. Oh, the Rokesby series. There he is. That's what it's called. And they were the next door neighbors to the Bridgertons. So, and then we also see like the Bridgertons, who it's the first generation. So the Bridgerton father, he's one of the brothers of the Bridgertons in here, right? And so we, in one of these books, we actually get to see like baby Anthony and Colin and Benedict. It's so cute. Anyway, not in this one though. In this one, Celia is going to try to find her brother Thomas, who's been injured on the battlefront. So she goes to try to find him, and she can't find him, but she does find Edward Rokesby, who was her brother's best friend, and he needs care. And so she vows she will take care of him, but the only way she's able to stay by him is to lie and say that they are married. And when he hears this, when he wakes up, he's like, oh, everyone's calling her my wife. I don't remember marrying her. And he's like, I must have done that. But he knows like who she is. Like he remembers her, that she's their neighbor back home. So he's like, oh, well, maybe I fell in love with her somehow. So she's gotten herself into a sticky situation. So this one, if you love while you were sleeping, this one's kind of got those vibes, but like if she actually got with the guy who was sleeping and forgot himself. So this one was fun. And then I have two recommendations by Kerrigan Byrne, and they're actually in the same series. So the first one is The Duke. This is book 4 in the Victorian Victorian Rebels. Is that what it is? I totally forgot the name of the series. But this one is about Cole, the Duke of Trenwith. And in the beginning of this book, him and Imogen actually have like a night at a brothel. So she's not a prostitute, but he ends up wanting to have a night with her, and he offers a lot of money, and she's like, sure, he's beautiful, let's do it. So she gives her virginity actually to him, and he is so fascinated by her. But then he ends up being like in an injury, and I think, is he missing a leg? Like he has an injury where he has trouble like walking. I think he might have a false leg, one of his legs is. But anyway, Imogen ended up entering into a marriage of convenience with a patient that she had. And now she's like an artist, like she's lived quite the life. This has been quite a few years. He never came back for her. And why would he? Like he thought she was a prostitute, like promises might get made, but like she was someone he was paying for the night, you know, like that's what was happening. But she runs into him years later, and he doesn't know who she is, and he doesn't remember anything. Granted, I think a lot of it too is like she's a completely different person than she was then, but he doesn't remember. So he turns up And well, he turns up injured now. That's what it is. Because she like will work at the hospital sometimes now. So she's a nurse now. There we go. Sorry, I was forgetting. Lots of books merging together. And he doesn't remember her. And so she's like, that's just fine. But he's having these like feelings for her, and he remembers certain things about her, but doesn't remember her. Now, I will say for me, I don't love this hero's reaction when he finds out who she is. I know a lot of people love this one and think it's real romantic, but I didn't love how he reacts when he finds out. Because what was she supposed to do? He thought she was a prostitute. He doesn't even know if she'd want to see him again, right? But it's still Kerrigan Byrne's writing, and this cover is beautiful. And then later in that same series, we can't forget the Duke with the Dragon Tattoo. Now, I don't want to explain this one too much because who this guy is kind of a mystery that goes through the whole series. But we definitely have this man who's known as the Rook. And this book connects all the way back to like the Highwaymen, I'm pretty sure. Connects with the Highwaymen, like way back when. And he awakens in a mass grave with this beautiful dragon tattoo on his muscled forearm, and he doesn't know where it came from. And so his only hope for survival lies in a beautiful stranger who finds him, and she nurses him back to health. And then like they end up getting like separated, and he takes a piece of her heart with him. And then many years later, the Rook has returned, and he like stops her wedding from happening and like kidnaps her. So that's this one as well. It is so good. This entire series by Kerrigan Byrne is a wonderful, wonderful series. She writes great books. So, all right, there you go. Those are my Amnesia recommendations that I have for you. Let me know if you have some more for me. This is a trope I would definitely love to read more of, especially if you have some good like contemporary ones. Again, there are some that I don't want you to recommend. Please don't recommend Forget Me Not. I won't be reading Forget Me Not. No. There's also another one about a girl who walks into a bar and the guy is like, get the fuck out. And she's like, how do you know me? That one also has stuff in it I don't want to read. But anything else, I'd love the recommendations. Thank you so much for watching. I put up new videos 3 to 4 times a week. Make sure you subscribe for more recommendations, and I'll see you next time. Bye.